one of the things that I want to address very briefly is the idea that, a lot of these scholars, those who identify as white, they set the definitions for our psychological terms such as narcissism and gaslighting. They are able to write these definitions for us, and they are able to dissect and be able to, think about how this actually impacts us, how narcissism works, how it works in relationships. But it's funny how when we point the mirror onto them, it's not called narcissism, it's not called gaslighting, it's called ideology. You are continuing to be ignored in this country, continuing, whether you believe it or not, to be seen as lesser than because you are not taken seriously. And the only way for you to be taken seriously is by getting out and building independence. As I said in John's house, the situation with John and Mary. Okay, Mary continued to stay. She continues to fight year after year, decade after decade. John, may have changed one factor. He may have stopped being physically abusive to the eye of the public. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't still abusive behind closed doors. Doesn't mean that he didn't find another way to manipulate Mary, financially, emotionally, mentally, okay? Finding those ways to keep her controlled and telling her that what she is experiencing, that it's ideology, that it's false, it's not real, it's made up in her mind. And she continues to stay, but she knows that something is not right. So why does Mary continue to stay? Why do we continue to stay? This is what I want to address.
As I said, we cannot revive humanity without reviving the beating heart of humanity. You are the beating heart of humanity, and you are flatlined when you remain colonized. Learn to love that African DNA in you first.
For those of you, the term, the House Negro. It's very easy for us to just say, hey, just leave them alone. Those are the House Negroes. But what is the mentality? What is the mental behind the House Negro? For me, doing this work that I am doing, it takes a lot of discipline. You have to really have a disciplined mind, because those who identify as white, they can be very nice. They can be very nice. But guess what? Anyone can be nice. But those of you who may watch this video, you may not realize that you may still have part of that House Negro mentality that has been passed on, because guess what? We have never had the chance to heal. We have never had the chance to go through the 5 stages of grief. There are apparently 5 stages of grief, and we have yet to go through those. And it's funny how people will say that Black people are the most forgiving on the planet. You cannot forgive what you have not had the chance to grieve. You have not had the chance to grieve yet. So no, we are not the most forgiving. Look at our family lives. Look at our home lives. I bet most of you can attest that you have family members, family members or of friends who have not spoken in over 20 years. Black people can hold a grudge to the death. We can hold a grudge. So it's not that we are the most forgiving. It's that we found a way to believe that we need to be a part of a civilized society, that we need to be part of a first world country. Through those years of enslavement, understanding chattel slavery, where you are dehumanized constantly, and to finally have a chance to even seek material, to be able to have material. Of course, when you have been deprived of the most basic necessities in life, when you finally find that freedom, when you finally have the chance to understand what the dollar is and what it can do for you financially, you are going to hold on to that. You are going to grab a hold of that for dear life. There is so much that we have not dissected, but I want to help you understand the issue with when we are able to dissect. It is called ideology. It is gaslit. When we dissect, when we use the mind to understand the psychology of what is happening in our own environments, that is the problem. We have moved from the stages of chattel slavery, from the stages of Jim Crow, from the stages, we're still in some of these other stages. We are now in the stages of dismissal, denial, and gaslighting and narcissism. We are in these stages here. And those who are considered the House Negro, and you see a video like this, your first instinct is to say, shake your head and say, we are supposed to be loving people. We are supposed to love everyone. We're not supposed to do what they did and be racist. You have to love them too. That is the first instinct. That is what you were taught, and you do not realize that this is what you were taught. Let me explain to you what I am doing here on this channel and what I am doing when I am promoting unity of Pan-Africans globally. This is not to say, it's not to say that I don't have the heart to see that there are other groups of people on the planet, who are suffering, things that are happening in the Middle East. It's not to say that I don't have the heart to see these things. What it is saying is that we, as Black African people, have been suffering for centuries under a system of ignorance. We have been divided. Not only did we go through the transatlantic, but we had a period of the Arab slave trade, and not to compare at all, but I am trying to help you see that we have been broken in ways that humanity can never understand while they continue to gaslight it. My focus is on ensuring that we rebuild ourselves, that we bring unity within ourselves. But when you are still engaged, as I said, in these interracial relationships, it is hard to do so, especially when you still operate with that House Negro mentality. You want to protect them. You care. And thus doing so, you are continuing to put yourself last, because they have instilled within you this guilt that if you do not do this, you are somehow racist, you are somehow prejudiced, you are not a loving person. Why is it that when you choose yourself, when you choose to love the reflection staring back in the mirror, that it's a problem for them, those who identify as white? That is why I am saying that these interracial relationships, these interracial friendships that you have, they can keep you stagnant. They can keep you from moving forward. They can keep you from seeking true independence. Although we have Juneteenth now, which is supposed to be our Independence Day, it's truly when we are still dealing with the effects, when we have yet to heal from the chattel slavery, from the transatlantic. I would say it's a bit premature, but that's just my opinion on that. It's premature, in my opinion, because we have yet to rise. We have yet to truly build independence. Did you know that the Native American tribes here in the United States, that they have their own citizenship? They have tribal citizenship. Although they still have citizenship of the United States, they have tribal citizenship. We don't even have tribal citizenship. We have been blended together in this melting pot. It is important for you to see how important it is that we as African people realize our need for our own independence, our need for our own, if you believe in the dollar and you want to keep the dollar, but our own footprint in humanity. We've had our own footprint, but those records and everything has been destroyed, and we are trying to uncover those, rediscover who we were. So when you have that plantation mindset and you come from the category of the House Negro, a lot of you will struggle because you have friends, who identify as white. Maybe you are married. You have partners who identify as white. So your first instinct is going to say, no, we have to love everybody. We have to take care of everybody. But you are continuing to put yourself last. And thus doing so, it keeps you dependent, because those who identify as white will tell you that we are connected, those who are your friends, when it suits them. It's being able to understand the manipulation as it's happening, because it's funny how when you have them as your quote unquote friends, they want to see you as, well, we are all Americans. But when it comes down to the law, And that's just a whole nother topic to get into. But what I'm trying to help you see is that as you begin to realize your need for independence and you still have those who identify as white as your friends, you may feel a little bit of guilt. Why should you feel guilt? Why should you feel guilt for fighting for something, for fighting for yourself, when you have yet to even grieve what has happened to your ancestors, what continues to bleed on over, spills over to today? You have yet to grieve, but you are the one feeling guilt for distancing yourself, for choosing your community. You're feeling guilt. They instilled that guilt into you because they taught you to put them first. And you continue to put them first, which is why it hinders us from building independence. Then you have, as I said, you have the field Negro. And the field Negro is different because the field Negro knows that, this is just the terms that I'm using. I don't even want to call us that. But those who would say the field Negro, they know the truth. They know what's happening. And maybe they say, you know what, I'm just sticking with my own. I'm sticking with my people. Okay. But there is also a lack of fight. We've been broken down. And you hear people say, well, if we try to rebuild, they will take it from us. So you have this defeated state of mind because you've been out in the field. You are still out in the field. You're still working the plantations. They're called plantations. You are still working the plants. And it's still structured and set up the same way it was. Sometimes you're working 12 hours in a shift. Sometimes you're working 16 hours in a shift. Sometimes you're working 18 hours in a shift. And you get a 30-minute lunch break. 2 10-minute breaks, maybe, if you're lucky. It is still structured that same way to keep you with that state of mind that says, what can we really do? What can we really do? You are defeated. So you have those who are defeated. And then you have those who continue to put those who identify as white first. So, and this is just the two of the categories. I'm sure there are other categories. Like I explained, there's the Candace Owens generation coming up. So you with that mentality. So you just have us mentally, understanding how deep we have been captured mentally is the issue. Because although some things, like they said, we had Black Wall Street and it was destroyed. But the first mistake we made was building inside of John's house in the first place. We should have been building in our own house with our own laws, with our own citizenship. Why don't we have our own citizenship? Why didn't we fight for that in America? We didn't fight to have our own citizenship. We want to have the citizenship of those who enslaved us. Instead of reconnecting our ancestors back to their roots. And by reconnecting our ancestors back to their roots, we reconnect ourselves back to our true roots. But as I said, the mental has got to us because there's shame. There has been shame placed on us. We have to realize the manipulations and all the different ways, the different ways that we remain captured in mind in order for us to build true independence. After everything that our ancestors have been through and what continues to spill over onto us today, you have every right to choose the reflection staring back in the mirror and around the globe over those who continue to identify as white. The ignorance that they still continue to identify as white. You have the right to choose yourself. You have the right to choose your community. More than the right, it is a necessity to choose so that we can finally build independence. So do not let them get into your mind and tell you that you are a bad person, that you are racist for choosing your community. because they have not chosen you. They will not put you first. Oh, they will not put you first. So why do we continue to put them first? Why do we continue to think about them in our revolutions? Why do we continue to do this? Because the effects of chattel slavery still bleeds on into us today, because we have not what? We have not done the work. We have not had a chance to go through the 5 stages of grief. We don't even believe that we are grieving, a lot of us. We have been mind manipulated into believing that the reality that we exist in is fiction, and that fiction is nonfiction. So this is why I'm trying to tell you that when you engage and you are in these interracial relationships, you have these interracial friendships, it is hindering you. It hinders our mind from doing the work that we need to do, because you are always going to have them in the back of your mind. You're going to say, well, wait a minute, my friend Destiny, my friend Bob, my friend Billy, what are they going to think if I do this? Oh, I can't do this to them. Look at all the nice things that they have done for me my whole life. Look at how they have helped me my whole life. Look at how they have assisted me my whole life. They have assisted me. Instead of telling you that you have everything that you need within you to assist yourself. You have your community. We have each other. We don't need their assistance. We can assist ourselves. Understand this, that anyone can be nice, and that niceness is going to cost you your own independence.